Boom. All right, we're
Whoa.
good.
3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Just Learn Crypto Show. Today we have Michael from Boxmining, who is one of the
Yeah.
all-time content creators out there, an OG in the space, numero uno YouTuber out there, and we're lucky enough to have him on the show. So Mike, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the invitation. Really glad to actually have a nice conversation with you. So really looking forward to what we can talk about today.
Thanks, man. I mean, I've been following you in the space for a while. You were one of the first YouTubers who I fell onto. You were recommended to me by a bunch of people when I got into the space. So it's kind of cool, man. It's surreal that I started out in Bitcoin as just kind of a regular guy, not a developer or anything like that. Just kind of someone who was interested in the technology and the community. And I took so much away from other content creators and just seeing what they did and what worked for them and what really spoke to me and the communities that people like you and Omar and Ken and all these guys had built up. And it's kind of cool that I've had the opportunity to rub elbows with quite. Oh, bless
Excuse me about that.
you. Oh, someone's allergic to compliments. But no, man,
Thanks,
appreciate
man. Yeah.
appreciate all the hard work you put into the space, man. Because
Thanks, man. Dude, like, I'm actually really happy. I mean, nowadays you can see so many people making stuff, right? Before when I started on YouTube, it was like nobody. Okay, maybe there's Amanda Johnson, Omar was there, but I was like, we need more people talking about this. We need to share different perspectives, and we can just see that throughout these 2 years, it's really grown. So I'm really glad to be here chatting with you, sharing a little bit of our battle stories too. I think that's the best part about
yeah,
crypto.
yeah, man. I don't think anyone who's been in it for a few years anyway doesn't have some scars to show. So, tell me about how you got into crypto, man. Like, is there a cool story there?
Yeah, I got in 2012. So it's actually the weirdest story because at that time I was studying. So I was studying and I kind of read up about this idea that you can make money whilst you're kind of working. As a student you don't make much money. So there are two things I was doing at that time. One was I was playing Diablo 3. So I had the computers, I had the gear, I had the GPUs, big gamer, and in fact I had three computers too. And that was because I was technically kind of like mining Diablo. But long story short. But at the same time, I discovered Bitcoin. So at that time, on my computers, I had GPUs, and I was like, you know what? Let me just start mining Bitcoin. And at that time, it was convenient. So you can just use your computer. If you're gaming grade computer, you can mine. And it sounds crazy now, but I made around zero point 0.3 Bitcoin a day.
Wow.
Uh,
Jeez.
at that time it was nothing, right? At that time it was $10 per Bitcoin, 30 cents, and people were telling me at that time, "Yo, guess what? You make more money picking cans off the street than mining Bitcoin." So that was my introduction to Bitcoin. I had this. It was mining, and obviously, as a miner, you had to calculate profits. And the kind of biggest regret I had at that time, looking back at it now, was not learning more about Bitcoin. So I was kind of entering from a student's mindset, right? I'm like, okay, I can make 30 cents per day. I can probably sell that like every month. And when Bitcoin actually took off from $10 to $15, I mean, it sounds ridiculous. I was like, oh my God, 50%. That's insane. Let me sell everything. So that was kind of some big mistakes I've made. And it wasn't really until much later, upon 2 or 3 years later, until I really started reading up about why this is important. And it's kind of funny because, looking back at it now, I made so many mistakes. And in many senses, this is why I started a YouTube channel to really talk about it, to allow people to really understand, to open your eyes. Because when you first hear about this, you're like, oh, okay, cool, internet money, cool story, bro. What? So what? But then you start learning deeper how broken our financial systems are.
Yeah.
You start realizing that, and it's that realization that Bitcoin isn't perfect, but it's way better because that allows us to do financial transactions without borders between any country, without centralization,
Hmm.
without the banking cartel getting involved. And like these few years, it's just like if you ever search, JP Morgan find or any big bank, HSBC, money laundering for the Mexican cartel. It's insane.
Yeah.
The banks are just so abusive. And then that's when I really started, okay, understanding that this is the value of Bitcoin. And obviously, the channel really helped me a lot. Starting the channel, understanding that, going back in, it took a lot of time. I mean, from 2012 to 2017, I was still in the understanding phase, and I really want to accelerate that for people to get them, get them understanding. And if they did have any regrets, like I did, obviously I regret selling my Bitcoin at 15. I
Yeah.
regret leaving my cryptocurrencies on an exchange called Mt. Gox, which is, you guys know that what happened to that exchange that blew up.
Oh man,
Regretting.
we're ripping
Uh,
open old scars on this episode.
yeah, just like and it's just like I if there's any mistakes that happen in crypto, I've been there, I've done that.
Yeah.
That's and I learned from that. That's the important part. You can't make mistakes in life because you don't understand, right? In 2012, you didn't, like, this is what you were asking about. Like, what do we do for giveaway? Well, yeah, hardware wallets definitely one of the biggest things because at least you get a place to store it,
Yeah.
right? Because back in 2012, like, storing it on a hard drive, and I change computers and shit, stuff gets lost, and you think, oh, whatever, right? It's point 0.2 Bitcoin, ha ha ha. It's like
Yeah.
20 cents. I don't care about that. And then boom, now today I'm like, oh man, I need to scour my hard drives for lost Bitcoin
Yeah.
and everything. So having a good place, a safe place to store cryptocurrencies, not making those mistakes, huge, big plus.
Yeah, man. I think a lot of people skin their knees getting into the space, and I think like another thing is that like even myself, man, I had, my interest in crypto at the beginning was pretty much purely financial. It was like, cool, how can I make money in this space? Um,
Mm,
and I think a lot of people, I mean, in my experience anyway, I deal a lot more face to face with people in specific crypto communities. And there's one thing I've learned is a lot of people got into crypto from MLMs, Ponzi schemes. They were brought in that way. And I don't think, I mean, yeah, it sucks, man. A lot of people lost money on that shit, but like, it also brought people into the space. It brought people like me into the
mm.
space, right? So like my first interaction with crypto was from an MLM meeting. That it was I think Gladia Coin was what it was called. And
Oh yeah.
if it wasn't for me actually going to the MLM meeting, and then being like, yo, this is a huge scam. But I would have never fallen down into the rabbit hole that is crypto and Bitcoin, right? So investor education is huge, man. And it's like, it's awesome
Yeah.
that there's people like you out putting information out there because
And you as well, man. I've been seeing all your content. It's amazing, dude. Like,
thank you,
just
man.
any way you can reach people. Like, I've seen like a lot of action on Facebook. It's I think now at least we have a community that gives people proper knowledge,
Yeah.
and I think that's important.
Yeah, and I mean, 90% of my online presence is stupid memes that I make, but there's a gem of education in there once in a while. And yeah, I made my website is just a free website that has like
Mm,
uh, I call it my grandma proof crypto education. And it's
mm,
just, a free little curriculum I made to teach people the basics. And the funny thing is like my on ramp into crypto was brokering and like getting people set up face
mm,
to face, actually, going to people's houses and sitting down with them at their computer and showing them how to use Binance and Bittrex and Google
right.
Authenticator. And then there was a day when my grandma asked me about crypto, and I was like, "Oh my god, I don't have 3 months to explain to my grandma how to use fucking Bitcoin." So, but I did it.
How did you
I
find that experience though? I mean, what did you find it was easy teaching people how
You
to?
know what? I think
Um.
I think because I got a lot of my education from people like Andreas Antonopoulos, who explain the
Mhm,
psychology behind money and the theories behind money,
mm,
and doesn't focus on price. And price was always something I tried to avoid as well. I wasn't, trying to get people
mm,
to the moon and to the Lambo. I was like, this is a really cool way to
mm,
say fuck you to the government and the banks and be in control of your own money
mm,
and have a Swiss bank account in your pocket. So I think like maybe the way that I approached teaching new people about Bitcoin was a little different than someone who was like, "Oh man, you're gonna make so much money doing this," and putting that money thing into it. Because then the topic always comes up of like, well, can it be hacked and can it this and can it that? And I always tried to. My first thing was, it's so easy. All you have to do is download an app on your phone. You don't need to
it
understand.
is.
You don't need to
It,
understand blockchain. You don't need to
you
understand
don't, you don't.
coding and
That's
algorithms and
that's the beauty of it. Because recently I had quite a few people coming to me asking about how to get started, and it's like right now these days it's so much easier because
yeah.
you can have a wallet on your phone. I mean,
Yep.
come on, you don't have to sync the entire Bitcoin blockchain, really? What? You
Exactly,
know,
man.
that's back in the day, right? Back in the day, you had to use command line. You know, you have to
Well, I mean, even now
and like you run your
we're
Bitcoin
seeing wallet
daemon.
apps now that aren't even using Bitcoin addresses. They're using username and password, and it's like
Mm,
little things like that. If they can find a way to couple that ease of use and that user experience with the same security that crypto
mm.
has, I think that's going to make a big difference because it's like trying to explain public keys and private keys. It's extremely vital information, but it does add a lot of confusion to that one of the
It
first
does. It
conversations
does.
that you're going to have with
So,
people.
like for me, my strategy has always been to tell people and to send them a little bit of Bitcoin. Let them
Yep.
know, okay, this is it. That's it. You know, you get a wallet. Takes like what 10 seconds to install a wallet.
Hmm.
Then you send them like anything. It takes maybe a minute max, and they're good to go. They got their kind of feet wet first,
Yeah.
right? That's the most important part. They got their feet wet. Now, okay, now you can start easing them into, okay, like how do you exchange that? You can show them that there are ATMs out
Yeah.
there, and I think the long term, then after the words comes explaining, okay, what is a private key? Because keeping that crypto wealth is also the kind of biggest hurdle as well, and it takes a little bit of getting your feet wet to kind of understand
Yeah.
how it works
Well, it's
because
true. It's true
of
because
the
you wouldn't
yeah,
go open a
it is.
bank account if you were say you were a little kid and you went to the bank to open your first bank account and you walk up and you're like, "Hey, Mr. Bankman, I want to open up a checking account." And he's like, "Never give your PIN to anyone." No, no, like that wouldn't be the first point of conversation, you
Yeah,
know? It's what do
exactly.
it's
Like
yeah, it's what do you need the
here's like
bank
a pile of papers you have to sign. Here's a bunch of
account?
like hardware stuff. Choose one and pay money, and you
Yeah,
know, it's unnecessary at the start, but I do have to say that it's completely necessary once you're
it
into the
has yeah.
space to properly do everything to take your assets outside of exchanges because a lot of people I think right now I still have these arguments. People are like, oh, why not just leave it in an exchange? I'm
Oh my god. Hold
like,
on. Let me pull up 7,000 Medium articles about why you shouldn't, why you should not leave your
yeah,
crypto.
and like personally, like it's easier for me to explain because personally I experienced it.
Yeah,
Being a victim of Mt. Gox, the paperwork, because they found some cash around. Basically, we're still dealing with paperwork today. That's
yeah.
like almost 5 years since it got hacked, and we're
I
still
saw
dealing with
something in the
paperwork.
news recently about Mount Gox. Isn't there like some sort of level of optimism that something, or was that just like a FUD article that I read the
It's
title of?
coming. The money's coming. They've been saying that for years and
So is
years,
BitConnect.
and
No, I'm joking.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. They're like, oh, we sold this, and then there's more legal fees, and every year that legal fee stacks up. So what you're seeing is that not only are they not giving the money back to people who lost funds in Mt. Gox, even though they have the money there, but every year they're dealing with people kind of having different claims, and then there's more lawyer fees on top of that. So you're just seeing, like at this point, I'm completely writing it off. I'm just saying, you know
Yeah.
what, like that's a lost cause right there.
I think mentally it's important to do that anyway. I mean, it's one of
Yeah,
those things where it's like I would hope that no one is putting their life on hold and waiting for their Mount Gox money
nope,
before continuing living their life.
yep.
So
Move
hopefully no
forward,
one's
learn from
doing
your
that.
mistakes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and right
move
now
on,
we're
Brother
in a
Ethan.
worse state because exchanges we have so many exchanges that don't consider security a priority,
Yeah.
and then they just go under. So I think right now, like if anyone has anything to take home from this, get a bloody wallet. Make sure you
Yeah.
keep it safe.
And make sure you watch
Just
this if it make sure you watch this video to the end because we might be making it a little easier for you to do that. So listen, man, there's been a lot of interesting stuff in the news and like even just the past 2 weeks I think have been
mm,
crazy, man. There's been so much cool stuff going on, good stuff and bad stuff. We saw the launch of Backed, and we all have seen what that did to the market. Do you know much about that? Like, I know a little. I mean, I kind of know the basics of what it is, but like, do you know much about the back situation? Do you know why it caused the market to go down so much?
I think it's expectations, right? So personally, it depends on how various groups of people perceive the market and the reasons on why it goes up. We look for price justification a lot in the space, even
Hmm.
though prices could be highly manipulated.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and I think one of the things that people started believing was that institutional investors are going to come in. You see these big funds. Fidelity has $2.5 trillion of assets being managed,
Yeah.
right? Trillion, not even billion. And that's where we're at right now, not millions,
Yeah.
trillions of dollars. And they're thinking, look, Fidelity, BlackRock, they're going to FOMO in and we need to buy before that. So there's a lot of investors who had that mentality. And they kind of saw that back was a way for these institutional investors to enter. Now, for me, I kind of understood it a little bit differently because I know that for a large group or large funds to enter, it takes a lot of really solid work in the space because they need to present themselves as responsible fund managers. And if
Hmm.
right, if Bitcoin drops, then they need to answer to the investors. Oh, look, we made a speculative investment. There's
Yeah.
there's literally a lot of speculation still right now, and in many ways, we're not ready for big, like huge funds to come in. But the good news is, of course, that once they start realizing that the power of cryptocurrencies in the sense that we can do finance without a central bank, that's the kind of the promise. Then it
Yeah.
becomes then it becomes irresponsible not to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
I
just
mean, the
that
thing
it's just a
is,
matter of time frame, right?
I
It's
think
that
it's something bad
time
has to
frame.
happen for them to realize that. I mean, I don't.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like we've been through 10-year cycles before and
Hmm.
10-year financial collapses, and people have a short-term memory.
Yep.
But the kind of issue here is that we're actually heading towards something that is quite crazy. We've seen the build up of the trade war. We've seen the potential end of this kind of crazy uptrend in the stocks markets. We've seen interest rates starting to fall for once. So instead of increasing interest rates, the Fed's decreased interest rates. So
Hmm.
there are signs that not all is going too well.
Yeah. And then
So
we've got all
yeah,
this
eventually
mayhem and
it might
tension with China and Trump going on right now, and there's so
yeah,
much craziness going on. And I always say,
there
man,
is so much craziness. Yeah.
we're one tweet away from a financial breakdown.
And that's where Bitcoin really steps in, right? So you have this way of storing money where it's not affected by Trump. It's not affected. Trump can't just say, "Oh, let's suspend all Bitcoin accounts and let's confiscate all your Bitcoin." I
I
mean,
know
that,
everything about Bitcoin. There's no one that knows more about Bitcoin
yeah.
than me.
I mean, the government's done crazy stuff in the past, right?
Yeah.
Confiscation of gold, that was like legit.
Yep.
That was real. That was happening. So I think it takes a little bit of time for people to understand it, and I think this is the state we're at. We're not in for this immediate explosion, and I think
No.
that's why everyone's attributing the launch of back caused Bitcoin prices to fall. I personally wouldn't consider that. I think there's still a lot of other kind of
Yeah.
reasons why we're in this fall anyways. The markets actually had 2 days to react to back before we had the dip anyway. So I wouldn't take
Hmm.
that as a fact. It
Yeah.
might be an influence. It might be
It might be, but
a factor. It might be a factor, but it's not the trigger point. It wasn't the
yeah,
trigger.
I agree. And I think you're right when you say, like, so many people try to peg the motion of Bitcoin to something happening in the news or something happening
Mm,
in the world. And it's like, there maybe have been times where coincidentally the rise of Bitcoin has went up with the rise of stocks, or Litecoin has
mm.
followed Bitcoin in the action. But I think 10, like 9 times out of 10, it hasn't done that. And people just like
Yeah.
hold on to one time that it did it, and they try to make a big fluff out of it. And it's like, man, Bitcoin's a honey
That's a
badger,
problem
man.
because the problem is that everyone's trying to predict prices, and I do understand that people want to know where it's trying to go. But the
Yeah.
more you try to understand it, the more you realize that you can't
It should be
understand
as
it.
simple as up or down. That's when people
Yeah.
always ask me, what do you think Bitcoin's going to be like in 6 months or a year? My answer is the same every time. I think Bitcoin will be uh, higher in 10 years than it is right now.
Mm.
Oh, no, but what
I
about
think so
six
too.
months? I think if you want to get rich in 6 months, you should play the lottery. You might have a,
Well,
you might
right,
have
yeah.
a,
I actually think no, because the ICO run in 2017 was way better than the lottery because
Yeah, you're right.
it got a
That
lot of
was
people very rich and very poor.
Yep.
But there was a term that popped up a lot, which is called the asymmetrical bet. Everyone thought that altcoins, Bitcoin, it was the asymmetrical bet because the upside is much bigger than the downside, right? So people were like looking at like particular projects that 100x, these Lambo dreams are coming in,
Yeah.
and that was unfortunate because obviously there's no such thing as asymmetrical bet, and people who bought in unfortunately suffered huge losses, even though they thought they were like buying the lottery. There were
Yeah.
and there was a huge survivor bias at that time too. So you look at who won, they were speaking really loud. Oh my god, you know, I won the lottery. I won 100x.
Yeah.
Um, so I think there was a perception that it was an asymmetrical bet in 2017, and then maybe it's still better than the lottery because the lottery is all rigged anyways, right? So
Yeah.
uh,
Exactly.
slightly, I would say slightly better than the lottery, but just it's the same idea. It's gambling in
Are
the
you an
market.
altcoin guy, man? Do you invest in altcoins, or are you like one
Hmm.
of the are you a yeah, you're not like a Bitcoin maximalist or anything?
I'm not a maximalist, so I try to ride the line in the middle, which is actually surprisingly really hard right now.
It is, man.
Uh,
You gotta pick a side these days. It's like you're either a
yeah,
Bitcoiner or a shitcoiner. And I'm just like, I'm gonna make fun of maximalists, and I'm gonna also make fun of altcoin people, and I'm gonna make fun
yeah,
of myself. I call
yeah,
myself a shitcoiner all the time, man. Like I love shilling altcoins, man, because I made out like a bandit in 2017.
nice.
And had the I don't know, the gut intuition, man. I'll never remember this or forget this moment. It was right after Electronium. I had bought into the
Mm.
Electronium ICO for
Oh man.
less than $100, man. And then I remember waiting and waiting, and it was in December, and it was supposed to be going live on Cryptopia. And I was like, I can't wait to dump all these coins. I'm gonna have so much Christmas money. I'm gonna buy my family the best presents. We're going to
Oh
Jamaica,
man.
and I remember the day it hit the exchange, and I bought in for about 250, or no, yeah, I did actually go a bit more. I did about 250 bucks. I ended up with just around 25,000 of their tokens. So I bought in at a penny each, and they hit Cryptopia live at like 23 cents or something like that.
Oh man,
Um,
that's crazy.
it was yeah, it was a crazy one. And but then they were like, "Oh, we're having some sort of issue. We can't actually
They
release
were
the
so
coins."
bad.
It was
They were
so
so bad. I did a video right before Electronium launch. I'm like, I looked at it. I'm like, you're trying to fork Monero. You
yeah.
have no idea you have no cryptographers. Your stuff is gonna blow up because Monero is one of the hardest cryptocurrencies to actually understand.
Yeah,
Like there
exactly.
was a million bugs in Monero that they had to patch themselves,
Yep.
and then like, the whole idea of crypto note was broken. But I'm like, okay. But anyways, congrats, man. Congrats
Well,
to
yeah,
that.
so
That was a
I
good
ended
one.
up pulling
Good bandit action.
thank you,
Nice.
man. I ended up pulling a couple grand out of that one out of 250 bucks, and then I had an aha moment, and it was December 28th, right after Christmas, and I was like, I'm way too stupid to be making this much money. So I sold all my cryptos that I had,
Oh, nice.
and that was when Bitcoin was at uh in Canadian dollars 24,000 something. So it was right around literally at the
Good
all-time high.
intuition.
Yeah, man, I was like, man, this is one of those too good to be true moments. Like no one makes this much money. And
Nice.
a lot of other horses were coming home around that same
Nice.
Electronium time. And yeah, man, I tried to tell as many people to follow suit, and saw so many people just stubbornly hodl through
Yeah.
2018. And it was like,
And yeah, and it's also like that kind of baseball team mentality. The moment you tell people, "Oh, look, I'm selling a bit," they're like, "Oh, you traitor," you know.
yeah,
you're
yeah,
you're you're not
exactly.
believing a cause, and this is what we're having right now, right? So for the most of 2019, we had these lines being drawn. You're an altcoiner, you're a shitcoiner, or you're a Bitcoin maximalist, and I don't believe these lines at all. I actually feel like that Bitcoin has a lot of its value because of the fact that it is pretty much the only truly decentralized coin out there.
Yeah,
There's no leader anymore, Satoshi Nakamoto, and this is why I think, in many senses, Satoshi should be forgotten. Like thank you,
yeah,
but we shouldn't constantly look for you. right? You want it to be gone,
Yeah.
let you be gone. That this is why it's more decentralized, because we don't
You mean
have a
you mean
central point of failure.
Satoshi isn't Bilal from Pakistan? Damn it, I thought we found him.
Yeah, man. Stop searching.
I know. I mean, we all know I'm the real Satoshi Nakamoto. Oh shit, did I
Yeah, man.
I'm just saying
Oh shit.
no one's ever seen
Revealed.
no one's ever seen me and Satoshi in the same room at the same time. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
The magic, man. The magic. That's the value of Bitcoin, and it's far less scammy than all the other altcoins, because, of course, right now, in the altcoin space, the more you know, the worse it gets, right?
Yeah,
So, I mean,
exactly.
you've been onto a few events, and then you just realize that the more you start asking people about what they're doing, you're like, oh my god, this is a big fucking
Well,
scam.
people need to
I'm
stop
gonna
comparing Bitcoin to altcoins because not every altcoin is
correct.
trying to compete with Bitcoin. I had a
Yeah.
good talk yesterday actually with the CEO and founder of Altcoin Buzz. I don't know if you follow
Mm.
them on Twitter.
Sash, yeah, I love him.
Yeah, so, yeah,
We're good
Shash, yeah.
friends.
So me and him did a video yesterday, and he like really has this great way of compartmentalizing the different kind of
Mm.
categories. And I'll probably screw it up. I don't have it. I don't have it memorized yet what he said, but he's like, you've got your cryptocurrencies that are trying to be money, and those are the ones
Mm.
that technically are competing directly with Bitcoin, right? So companies like Monero, Litecoin, and then you've got like your smart contract ones like Ethereum and different, and then you've got game
Mm.
based, and then you've got non fungible tokens. And it's like, you look at something like Decentraland, for an example, they're not competing with Bitcoin. They're working in the virtual reality space. Like they're
Yeah.
not trying to be the world currency. They're trying to make virtual reality. Like it's and then people are always pegging Bitcoin to altcoins, and it's like, well, what are you trying to invest in? What are you interested in investing in? And I get this all the time
Right, right.
when I bring new people into the space. It's like they're like, all right, man, so okay, cool. I have a Bitcoin wallet. What altcoins should I buy? And I'm like, how much Bitcoin do you have? Like, you should have, I tell everyone, you should have 80 to 85% of your portfolio, in my opinion, in Bitcoin. I think crypto in general is a high risk investment. And
Yeah.
someone like me, crypto is my main investment, right? So if I'm
Mm.
already going to be putting all my money that I have for investing into a high risk investment, I'm not going to double down on the risk and invest 80% of my money in shit coins. It just seems fucking stupid. So my answer to everyone is you should have 80 to 80% of your portfolio in Bitcoin. Once you have that, then you can, take 15% of that and maybe start spreading it out into some altcoins, but figure out, and this is the same for
Something
stocks.
else.
It's if
I
you're
mean,
not
I mean,
if
I mean, exactly your point, right? So, I mean, Bitcoin is great, but I think everyone just categorizes it's cryptocurrencies, but the use case is totally different.
Yeah.
What about precious metals like rhodium? Would you say, oh, I bought Bitcoin, let me buy some rhodium now?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what the hell is that, right?
Yeah,
But
where's the
but
connection?
where's the connection? And there's some projects that are just way out there that do completely different things, and we're still not there yet. We still see that correlation, the long term correlation between Bitcoin and altcoins, and this altcoin season idea.
Yeah. Well,
Altcoin season comes
I think
after
the
Bitcoin
problem
season.
is and I do a lot of research into like I've read Warren Buffett's biographies.
Mm,
I've followed a lot of traditional investors, and you were right. You mentioned it a little earlier while we were talking, saying how crypto, it makes a lot of people question what money is and where money comes from
mm,
and it makes you kind of peel back that layer and question
yeah,
things, I guess, a little differently when it comes to the financial system that has engulfed our entire life. Like our whole life is wrapped around money, right? So we might as well start asking some questions about it. But I think a lot of people don't realize when it comes to investing is you can make money in any market, in any and in any niche too, right? In order for you, if you're not going to just give your money to a hedge fund that's going to give you a diversified portfolio, if you want to make your own diversified portfolio, invest in shit you're going to want to learn about. Don't like if you don't give a shit
true.
about video games, don't invest in Engine
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you're not going to have the passion to do research
Correct.
into that and figure out the moves, right? Like I I I'm not a big video game guy. I don't really invest in any of these video
Hmm.
game projects. I respect the hell out of them for building in the space and I see the value and I understand the value
Hmm.
in it, but it's like I wouldn't go invest in a toilet paper company because I don't want to have toilet paper research be on my
Exactly.
to-do list every day. You know what I mean? So people need to figure out like Yeah, cool.
Exactly.
Invest in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is really cool, but as soon as you want to spread out from that, like try to invest in something that you're actually going to want to do research on, and it's not going to feel like you're forcing yourself to do it, because then you're going to get lazy in your research and you're going to make stupid moves and you're going to lose money. And like I was lucky enough
Yeah,
to have the balance
it's
where I
also controlling that greed, right?
yeah.
It's controlling that greed. People hear, oh, this is the next big thing, quantum computing. Oh my god, AI, virtual
Buzzwords.
reality, buzzwords. Oh my god. Oh, and then there was a period where it's like, oh, coins for weed coin, Paragon coin. Oh my god. Calm down, do some real research, take deep breaths.
Yeah.
And I think I have a completely different angle. I've been a big game developer prior to this as well, so I thought,
Oh,
okay,
cool.
look, what's the best way to get into it? So yeah, my interests are different from yours, and that's exactly why we should have our different opinions.
Yep.
Throughout these years, I've also said that I start developing an intense distrust of any funds.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I think that something that's also really awesome about the crypto space that really taught me was to trust myself.
Yep.
Um, it's kind of funny because I talk to some funds and they have no fucking clue about what Bitcoin is. Like, you're
Yep.
talking about Bitcoin mining. Okay, what's Bitcoin? Like, they're so clueless. They're like, oh, I don't research Bitcoin mining, but I'm like, but you're an analyst
Yeah.
for cryptocurrencies and your fund invests $100 million. Like, it doesn't really make sense that you don't understand anything about mining. And
Yeah.
then you talk about even basic fundamentals. Like, I mean, you read Andreas Antonopoulos, even how like a UTXO transaction works, the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have to be super technical, but you should at least understand it so that if there's any FUD, if there's any like fake news,
You're not
you can
selling it.
identify that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can be like, oh, it doesn't affect me, bro. Like,
Yeah,
and that's the
exactly.
problem. Like, a lot of people come here, they don't know what they're doing. They probably ask one friend, and then they trust that one friend. It's all about belief, right? Like, there's no such thing as freaking belief.
Yeah.
They need to. Then when the fear comes, when it strikes, they're not prepared, and they make stupid decisions, panic selling at the low, and then buying back in, FOMO back in when it's at the high, right? So I think, hopefully people who watch this, if you guys have any questions as well, certain things you want to research, certain areas you personally are interested in, make sure you leave a comment down below. I'd love to read it and just feel like what the overall sentiment is. I'm completely okay with sharing mistakes I've made in the past. I think that's kind of the strengths. I don't feel that's a sign of weakness to
Mhm.
share mistakes that you've done. I see that as a sign of strength to actually kind of really push yourself forward
Yeah.
by acknowledging that we're all mortals. We can make mistakes, but we can be better tomorrow.
Yeah, and you know what? If anyone watching this wants to save themselves the pain, then like you need to put the ego aside and reach out and ask questions and ask for help, and not
Sure.
necessarily try to take on the whole weight of the space by yourself. And seeing people
Definitely.
do that, man, and it's like there's so many people like me
I
and
know
you.
crypto.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, on the other side of that, there's so many people like me and you and Omar and Ken and like just
Mhm.
tons of people in the space that are so easy to reach out to, and
Sure.
have been in the space for a while, have made a shitload of mistakes. And if we haven't made the mistake ourselves, we know 10 people who have. And I mean, that's what it's all about, man. I think me and you are kind of on a similar journey where we're just trying to educate people and help people avoid some of the pain that we went through. And my
Yeah.
pain hasn't always just been in crypto. I've learned many life lessons, from even before I got into crypto, that I usually find ways to mix into what I'm doing as well. So yeah, man, it's such an exciting time to be in the space right now. I really think I
It
think we're
is.
I think we're coming into a bull run, man. I think it might not be this week, this month, or even this year, but I mean, I think 2020 is we're going to see some upward action. I really hope we do, man. Just to
Possibly. I mean,
bringing new people in, and just to kind of like,
mm.
I feel like there's a lot of people working really hard in this space, and I just want to see them get rewarded. A lot of people that are
Oh, they've
work.
been rewarded a lot already. I mean, I think, I think crypto has always been, to me, I've always regarded as it's easy mode. There's so many things. It's one of the best ways to really grow. There's a lot of people who support you. If you're in any other industry, I was in the gaming industry before that. It was hard mode, man. It
Yeah,
was like
like
it was a
a hard
brutal
industry to
grind.
network in, or
Everything,
yeah,
because the competition was just so fierce. Like you
Yeah.
have to work 10 times harder than the next person, and they're working their asses off, right? Like
Hmm.
you go see like gaming companies. I was at Shihu 360 in Beijing, and we just finished a dinner meetup to discuss a collaboration on a game, and we were driving past the office, and it was 11 p.m. and like literally 70% of the office was still up on a Friday night. Like that's
Wow.
hard. How hard it is. Like gaming studios have showers in them. They have beds in them. If you launch your video game, you're basically up. Like you basically live there for like 2 to 3 weeks if you're launching your game, especially in China. It was just so intense.
Wow.
And crypto, it's like you're not working anywhere near as hard. I don't see companies working like that level, like that. They'll just dedicate their lives to it. And I think
Yeah.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. We're so young, man. We're only 10 years
We're
into
so
this
young,
stuff.
and I feel like I'm actually okay with a longer bear run. I feel like a lot of people are like they want to see a bull run happen. I want to see that too. You know, a lot of people kind of like call, oh, you're a bear, it's negative, but it's not
No,
negative
man.
per
It gives you
se.
more time to
It's just a way.
accumulate.
Yeah, and it gives you a good time to see the dust settle. Like
Yep.
right now, it's such a good time. You can see that the people who are like screaming the loudest, taking photos of CZ. Oh, look, I've got a photo of CZ. Invest in my project. You know, those guys are wrecked. Like
Yeah.
there's just so many scammy people like that. Like even like when I go to events, I have to be really careful. I'm like, I don't want to take pictures, and if I do take pictures, I don't want to look like I'm with a friend in case they're like, oh, you know, we got all these people who are like invested in our project because they all lie, right? That's the
Yeah.
worst part.
Oh, I know.
They lie, and you never know what they're gonna do
What was that
with your
one going
stuff.
around that was like Paris Hilton and all the like I remember so many like projects like that getting messages from
Oh my
scammers like,
god.
"Listen, you should invest. This will be number one
Oh my
investment.
god.
Paris Hilton is a supporter."
Oh my
I'm
god.
like, why the hell does that matter? I know,
It
man.
was a crazy time,
Yeah.
and now we see the dust settling. I'm actually
Yeah.
really glad about that.
I just want to start
Um,
making some memes about a bull run. I'm sick and tired of making memes about fucking bear market. Oh man, I honestly want to.
oh
I just
man.
need some fresh content for meme making.
I don't know, man. You gotta,
So
you know,
so t-
recently I've been branching out. Like this year, I've been just like branding, broadening myself as well. So
yeah,
um, do you know Arcane Bear?
yeah, man. Me and him.
Teacher, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Me and him talk almost every other week. We're actually
yeah,
uh, kind of being. I don't know if you've heard of Epic Cash, but I saw
yeah,
him
exactly.
posting.
Like,
I saw him posting some stuff about Epic Cash. I reached out to him, and we've been kind of learning about the project together, and it's such a cool community
hmm,
around Epic Cash right now. Like, there's just a bunch of wicked Telegram groups, and like a lot of the. I
yeah,
actually did an interview a few weeks ago with Todd Lewis, who was one of the lead technical
mm,
contributors to that Epic Cash project,
mm.
and learned a lot about it, man. And like, I don't know, man. I mean, they're just. I feel like it's just a tough time for any project to get traction right now, as good of a
Well,
project as it is.
that's a cool thing, right? Because they're so same story. So yeah, we kind of have the same group of friends. But I saw Epic Cash, and something I saw there was just a lot of energy that was more about community building energy rather than, oh my god, I'm gonna get rich energy.
Yeah.
So I felt that was kind of cool. I mean, I started mining it. I started looking into it. You know, the fact is that they forked Mimble Grid, right?
Yep.
So they have a lot of the elements from Grid and they combine it with some hot mining algorithms.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh yes, let me get on and start mining. And yeah, I did both. I have some tutorials up if you guys are. It's kind of my thing, right? My thing is like, oh, I like anything new and fancy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether or not it can be currency in the future, that's still a tough battle to fight. But at
Of
least they're
course.
much more legit than the people who raise millions, billions of dollars and then I don't know
Yeah.
what happens to
I
them,
mean,
right?
there was no ICO, no
There's founders
crowdfunding.
rewards, but you know that's fair enough so long
Of
as they manage
course,
those
man.
funds, right?
I mean, dude,
Yeah.
people need to eat.
Well, it's like there's some people who just do it for passion. I mean, if you look at Grid itself, they don't have anything, so you know that's pretty cool. That's something I respected that
Yeah,
they asked
you
for
know what?
donations.
Despite and you're the whole death settling thing, like there's been a lot of cool projects that have made it through the last 2 years that are
Mm,
still doing stuff in the space, man. Like, I
mm,
always like to give a shout out to Presearch, who I've been using for 2 years now as my primary search engine. And I
mm,
earn Presearch token every time I search something. Instead of using Google or DuckDuckGo, I run it through presearch.org, and I've earned
mm.
like a pretty good amount of their tokens, man. And I
Oh
feel like
wow.
it's one of the ones, and it's got utility too, man. Like I can advertise for Just Learn Crypto. I can put ads up on their search engine
Mm.
and pay for ad space with the Presearch token. So it's not like it's just some shit coin. Like it actually has a utility too.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good time for yeah, like projects that like work, that deliver to gain followers.
Yeah.
That's always good, man.
Are there any projects that you use on the daily? Like, do you use like any like Brave browser? Like, is there anything you're using to earn
Yeah,
cryptocurrency
for
on a
sure.
daily basis?
So it's a great time to show.
Let's chill, bro.
So okay,
Chill
let me talk
away.
about my stance. So I believe, okay, so for me personally, my stance has always been that Bitcoin obviously has that value of its currency, um, against the cartels. But I think the bank against the banking cartel, but there's a lot to explore in this space. So that's why I'm in the middle. I definitely use a lot of different cryptocurrency projects, and I think there's a lot of value to be learned from this whole kind of. I was also always say this is like an experiment, right? Like extended experiment into everything. So
Mhm.
Brave, you mentioned that I use that like every day. Every video uses Brave. That's just a fact. I think Brave is great in that sense. We also have I'm advisor for Player, so it's a gaming competition organizing event.
Okay.
Mainnet just launched. You can actually play CS:GO and compete and actually kind of win tournament prizes with it. I think
Hmm.
that's really cool. Engine wallet I use all the time. Engine I got NFTs. I actually have
Yep.
a box mining NFT on there. So
No way.
if you ever want to,
Well, you know
um,
what? After talking with Shash yesterday, he really
he's a
kind of
big engine guy.
dude,
He's
he
such a
dude, he was shilling Engine so much. I loved it, man. And I mean, just knowing that he's not attached to them, it was just genuine love for the project that really came
yeah.
through. But I'm gonna
That's
look
kind of
into it, man.
funny.
I'm gonna download the Engine wallet. Actually, I just got the new I just picked up the new
This is my
Galaxy.
one.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
So I got the
Yeah,
new
that's my
Galaxy.
token.
That's sick, man. And my new Galaxy phone, the Note 10 Plus, actually comes with a built-in blockchain wallet on it.
Oh, do you have the Samsung Blockchain Explorer?
Yeah.
Or blockchain Samsung Blockchain Key Store?
Yeah,
Nice,
exactly.
nice,
So I've been kind of
nice,
messing around,
nice.
but like, yeah, one of the main tokens they have available on there is Engine. So I have a wallet for Engine
Yeah,
coin on my
yeah, and it's
phone.
just the engine and the engine wallet. So like personally, I like teams that are solid that have like actual experience. I mean, if you talk to the engine team, they're like next level working hard. They're like gaming grade quality, like working hard
Yeah,
in the crypto space, and like it's just the amount of stuff they deliver is insane. So there's that. There's like plenty of other things. I've been looking a lot in the staking algorithms recently. So I'm not a pure miner. I actually believe that
POS.
staking could almost provide the same level of security as mining.
Yeah,
And if we're going long term on this, I think that just being more ecologically friendly, that's great. And that's why I brought up Arcane Bear. He's very pro environment.
yeah.
It's that's actually really cool to actually see that we can hopefully we can make a positive impact in the future instead of a negative one.
Yeah, and I think like, that's one of the main arguments that comes up all the time when you start talking proof of work, proof of stake is like how
Yeah.
much energy it takes. And I mean, I don't know, man. I think there's ways to speed up the process of the world moving into more renewable energy through mining, to be honest with you, because you see a lot of mining farms that come up, not mining farms, sorry, solar farms and wind farms, especially out here in
Mm,
Canada where I live. There's a ton of them,
mm.
and they take a long time to pay off.
They do
If they
7 years.
yeah, especially if they're 7 to 10 years, depending on the energy rates in the area you're in. But
Mm.
imagine if instead of feeding that energy back into the grid, that they were feeding all of that energy into mining, I think that they could probably pay them off depending on which way the market goes. Um,
Mm.
maybe a lot sooner than just
Hard. It's hard. That's really hard because miners right now they get basically the runoff.
yeah,
So the good miners they get 2 cent electricity. So that's barely anything.
Yeah.
They're right now, for reference, I'm paying 13 cents right now.
Okay.
But miners, they can get it for 2 cents.
Is that
So
per
like,
kilowatt hour? Is that what they
yeah,
measure
per
that in?
kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
So that's there are actually people like I know some really big miners,
Yep.
and their whole jobs is to find cheap electricity.
Yeah.
So
They buy
so
energy contracts and
yeah, and they buy the ones that are low priority, right? So basically, if there's anything that happens that the electrical production from a certain plant, say if it's geothermal or Hydro Quebec and hydro, if there's not enough being produced, they get shut down first, right? So
okay.
that's okay. Miners are okay with that. They get low priority energy, but they're still burning that energy, right? That
Yeah.
energy can still be used for something. It's not as bad. It's not as disastrous. It's not the ecological disaster that the media is portraying it to
Yeah.
be, but I think it can be better. I think like
Yeah. Are
we're
there any
reaching a
like
point
proof
where
of stake? Are there any major proof of stake coins like other than Ethereum that you're interested in? Because I don't really know of
yeah,
any that
there's like
much.
so many. Yeah, there's a lot coming out. So one of them was Algorand. So this is the MIT professor who did it.
Okay.
Obviously, the price. I'm not going to talk price about that
No,
because
no, I'm not
obviously
talking
that
price at all, man.
when that launched, the price was like. So I
Yeah.
was talking about like the project itself, the tech behind it. That's pretty good, but
Yeah.
the dumpamentals there were pretty bad. I was talking about this term like
Is
there's
that a
something called
term?
dumpamentals, right?
Is that
That's a term I coined up.
that
That's a
sounds
shit
like
term I coined up.
something I'd order from like Tiny Dragon Chinese restaurant.
It's dumpamentals, man.
Oh man,
You gotta.
those sound delicious.
I'll serve you some dumpamentals, Chinese style. Ching tong
I'll
ting tong li, much respect.
That's hilarious. Is so Decred or Decred? They're proof of stake, aren't they? Do you know?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I love them. Like, dude, like, they have one of the most. They're actually
That's so weird.
combination.
That's so weird. I
They're
did
not
not
they're
even.
not pure proof of stake.
I didn't even plan this, but I'm
Oh,
wearing a.
nice. You got a Decred shirt.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
weird.
because they're a
Forgot I was wearing
combination, right? They have their staking component and their mining component, which is actually pretty amazing. So there's different projects that deal with both. But recently, the idea that we can move, even like Cardano, ADA
Yeah.
is proof of stake. You know, like they're trying to make the most perfect, mathematically proven proof of stake. And so I think like this is the year where we're suddenly seeing that proof of stake is just as safe as proof of work. But the only one problem we have to solve is distribution, because with proof of stake, the rich keep getting richer.
Yeah.
So you do have that problem in the long run of like, how do you have a second way of distributing out your coins? But yeah, anything like Algorand, I think all the new third generation ones, they're all proof of stake. So I've been spending some time looking at that. I actually cover it on boxmining.com. I'm going to show my site right now. Like
For sure, man.
anything I look at, I try to cover it. I just try to write an article, or my team writes an article on it, just to learn what's happening.
Nice, man. I have like a way lazier approach where anytime something interests me, I try to convince the founder to do an interview with me, and then
Mm,
I
mm.
do zero research and I just have them teach me about it.
Uh, but the problem with that, the problem with that approach is they're going to tell you the best parts, but what are their weaknesses,
That's
right?
true. Well, you know
That
what?
is the
But you
problem,
know what? I usually hear all the weaknesses as soon as I post the video or the post.
right?
I
Right?
get
Right?
all the naysayers who are like, "Yeah, but
Yeah,
what about
like
this?" Nah, man,
it's
that's
centralized. And what
yeah,
about this? Yeah,
yeah, exactly, man. So listen, man. Aside from
I
crypto, I want to ask you one
uh-huh.
question that has nothing to do with crypto, man. So,
Mhm.
um, what's a hobby in your life outside of gaming and crypto? What's something that you do that maybe not a lot of people know you do
Oh
for fun?
man, you just cut out gaming, dude. I like I
I want to
game like
know.
a ridiculous
I
amount.
want to know outside of gaming and outside of crypto, man, and or maybe something that you
All
used
right,
to do when you were a kid and you don't do it
yeah.
anymore.
So I'll be honest. So these 2 years, I got a little bit burnt out because I went full into crypto. So like just the amount of time I was spending just researching, because I actually like every time I actually research a project, I actually download it, I run a server. If I can't run a node, I run a node. I set up like everything. Like I'm super anal about it, right? Not only
Yeah,
do I read the right paper, I do everything, and it takes time, right? It actually takes 1 or 2 days to actually just get the setup done, and then to use it, to talk to people who use it. That's like a week.
yeah,
For me, like I kind of burnt out 2017, 2018, just actually researching the projects.
yeah,
This year, I'm actually taking it much slower. So something that I actually kind of wanted. So back in my life was like research stuff, and then I burn out, and then play video games, and I went back to research.
Yeah.
This year, I'm like, okay, that's not healthy, right? That's a one way ticket
An early
to being
grave.
ridiculously huge, to become fluffy pony.
Yeah.
Uh, sorry, fluffy pony. All right, but this year I'm like, okay, look, I want to have a more balanced lifestyle. I'm actually wanting to take on surfing. So recently I went on a trip to Bali. I actually want to move there at least maybe for maybe 3 weeks every 3 months or something like that. Just go there, learn how to surf, learn how to ski. These are my two kind of big targets:
That's
surf,
awesome.
ski, dive. I got diving down, so I'm like, I did a lot of that last year, a little bit of that
Like
last
full
year.
scuba or just snorkeling?
Yeah, full scuba. So I got
Wow.
like those two sort of the what advanced diving.
Okay.
Yeah, like I can do the advanced stuff. I can go down to 40 meters. I can
No way.
chase fish yeah, it's like it's side hobby. And then this year, like I want to take on skiing, surfing. So I'm really excited. I'm super pumped for that. I'm like
That's cool, man. Hey, man. I mean,
November.
yeah. November. What do you mean November? What's
I'm,
special
I'm,
about?
I'm trying. I'm trying to move to Bali in November. So I'm like
Oh
November.
shit.
I'm gonna get surfing done. So I'm
Damn.
like, yeah.
That's cool, man. I don't literally live in a climate or a part of the world that has surfing. I've
Yeah.
got 30 centimeters of snow outside my window, and it's October 1st.
Well, Canada, our home and
Yeah,
sacred
what are you gonna do? You
place.
used to live in Montreal, so you know what it's about, man.
Yeah,
It's not
I
the
know
best.
it's brutal.
It's such a
Winter's
waste of
coming.
like 6 to 8 months of our life every year.
Dude, like, before, so just off topic, before I was like, I'm gonna learn ice skating in Montreal because you can skate on ice on a lake.
Yeah.
I walked outside, I'm like,
Yeah, dude, there's so many optimistic Canadians that are so in denial. They're like, "Winter is beautiful. How can you hate it? Do you not see how beautiful all this white snow is?" And I'm like, "Touch it. Yeah, go touch it. Go chill in it for 8 hours." Like, people have to work outside in this shit.
oh man.
And I did door
Like I do a lazy thing, right? I brush my hair in the morning and it's got water in it. The moment I walk outside, it's turned to ice. It's like I got hair gel.
Ah, the Canadian
I
hair
got
gel.
hair gel, but Canadian hair gel, it's
Yeah,
ice,
you
buddy.
just gotta mix a little maple syrup into that, and
Oh,
you'll be onto something. Yeah, man, I'm not a fan of winter. I'm trying to do everything I can right now to permanently move out of Canada in about 5 years. So I did door to door sales, man, since I was
mhm.
18, 8 to 10 hour days all winter
Oh,
long
that's brutal.
for at least 5 years, and I think I've experienced more winter than anyone should have to, and I think would be happy spending the rest of my life not seeing any more snowflakes. The only snowflake I want to see is my own damn reflection when I look in the mirror. So listen, man. So
Yeah, man.
we're gonna do a little bit of a giveaway. Obviously, if anyone is gonna watch this video to the end through all of our craziness, they deserve to be rewarded. So why don't you let people know what they're gonna have a chance to win, and maybe we can figure out a way that we're gonna give this out.
So easiest way to get basically crypto stored. So I talk about ledgers and stuff a lot because I think deep down inside I thought if I had this, I'll be a much richer state than I am right now. If I actually just kept my cryptocurrencies in a safe, convenient place. So I thought this is the easiest way to get in. And also, just to hit home on this really hard, take your crypto out of exchanges. Right?
Yeah,
Recently, I just feel like with all this regulatory uncertainty coming through, even big exchanges, the biggest ones out there, KuCoin, Binance, whatever, Bittrex, Coinbase, if they go down, they'll go down with your funds.
I think it's more
So
when they go down, man.
yeah,
I think it's and
so
we like, dude, all these exchanges get hacked, and I think it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I think
yeah,
decentralized exchanges are going to be a huge game changer, and having a ledger to store your coins on so you
yes,
don't get mount goxed like our poor friend Michael did. So
yep,
Michael is going to be nice enough. We're going to do a giveaway for a ledger.
yep,
Is that a Nano S? Which model is that?
yes, 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 yes,
Model S. So
yep.
we're gonna put the description and the details for the giveaway. It's gonna be down in the description. Make sure you guys follow all the directions. and give yourself that advantage to store your crypto properly. As Andreas always says, not your keys, not your coins. Make sure you're holding your keys. Michael, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. I love having these just
Awesome, man.
nice, fun conversations.
Thanks so much, Sean, man. Dude, this is an amazing time. And if anyone wants to leave any comments and questions and stuff, I'd love to answer them. And yeah, onwards.
Thanks so much.
As
And obviously I like to always end my videos with two things. One is thanks to Presearch, Epic Cash, and Uptrend for helping me make these videos happen. And also, guys, none of this is financial advice. This is this is just us talking about stuff we're interested in. Don't take it as financial advice. Do your own research. Talk to people who get a good opinion of things before you throw your money into them. So as always, guys, thanks for tuning into the Just Learn Crypto show. Check out Boxmining. Check out Just Learn Crypto. We've both got amazing content out there, and we both love educating people. So until next time, guys, have a good night and keep hodling.